Lisa Kwok's illegal structures trial adjourned until February. A head-on collision of two trains in Switzerland. And the reopening of Mideast peace talks in Washington.
Good evening. The court case involving the wife of defeated chief executive candidate Henry Tang has been adjourned until February. Lisa Kwok is accused of building illegal structures at her Kowloon Tong home without consent. Kwok has pleaded not guilty to one of two charges against her. Rani Samtani has more.
Henry Tang and his wife, Lisa Kwok, appeared at the Kowloon City Magistracy this afternoon. Kwok has been charged with the building of a basement at her luxury home in Kowloon Tong without approval or consent from the Buildings Department, and knowingly allowing the construction of illegal structures without obtaining the department's authorization. Kwok earlier pleaded guilty to the first charge, admitting that she was at fault. Today, she again pleaded not guilty to the second charge, citing a discrepancy in the prosecution's summons. The court heard that during a project meeting in September 2003, structural engineer Chazy Tang refused to begin work on the basement and advised Kwok that she would need approval from the building authority first. Later, Kwok told Chazy that she would find another engineer to do the job. Kwok's lawyer, Gary Plowman, argued that the prosecution has no evidence to support those claims. The prosecution wanted the magistrate to call Chazy Tang as a witness today. But the defense pointed out that the structural engineer has already been called as a witness in a related case in November. That case involves architect Henry Ho, structural engineer Wong Pak Am, and contractor Hien Lee Engineering in connection with the illegal structures at Kwok's home. As a result, the magistrate decided to wait for the conclusion of that trial, which may pertain more information about Kwok's case. Kwok will next appear in court on February 7th next year. Her husband once again said he and his wife will cooperate with the investigation.
The whole case, we have always taken the attitude, the stand, that we are open and frank about it. We have cooperated with the investigation, and we are prepared to take responsibility for our actions.
Tang said that he's disappointed that the case didn't come to an end today. He also pointed out that previous similar cases were never as complex, nor did they have to be dragged on for this long. Rani Samtani, TVB News.
Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying says relevant government departments have now been tasked with improving the pitch at the Hong Kong Stadium. And while last night's match between Manchester United and Kitchee was a success, efforts to improve the situation are in high gear. Stephanie Choi has more.
Last night's match between Premiership champions Manchester United and local side Kitchee got the crowd on its feet. But the controversy over the battered Hong Kong Stadium pitch is still far from over. The government has vowed to prevent similar incidents from happening again.
We have a short, medium, and long-term solution that in the long run, we will learn from this experience, and in future events, the situation will improve.
And Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying said today various government departments, including the Home Affairs Bureau and the Leisure and Cultural Services Department, will work together to improve the situation.
Secretary for Home Affairs Tang Tak Sing says the government might consider replacing the grass. However, Stephen Low points out the problem lies not with the grass, but those who tend to it.
We need to have some professional consultant to make a proposal how to maintain the glass quality.
But he played down concerns international teams would shun Hong Kong because of the problem.
Because if we can make it better in the future, I think they will come back again.
Apart from the Hong Kong Stadium, Low believes other football pitches around town are in similar or worse conditions. He urged the government to look into the matter as part of efforts to boost the development of the sport in Hong Kong. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
A travel agency specializing in student study tours has closed down. Around 70 students and teachers who signed up for study tours are now seeking compensation worth more than $1 million. Rachel Leung reports.
The office of AIEC Travel Service in Tsim Sha Tsui remained closed today. We knocked on the door, but no one answered. The Travel Industry Council, or TIC, revealed today they were having complaints against the agency last month that checks issued by it cannot be cashed. But AIEC denied back then it was having financial problems. Last week, Lam Tai Fai College in Sha Tin asked for police assistance after it failed to contact the agency's person in charge before contacting the TIC. 70 students and teachers of the school had signed up for study tours in Singapore and Sydney involving more than $1 million.
And we have reported a case to the registrar. Registrar managed to summon the owner of this agent and try to understand what is behind the situation. And finally, the owner said that they have to close shop because of financial difficulties. And the registrar have immediately revoked their license.
The travel agent's registry said it has already activated the application mechanism of the Travel Industry Compensation Fund to help the affected travelers. Rachel Leung, TVB News.
A head-on collision of two trains in Switzerland has left one of the train drivers dead and 26 other people injured. Police say it's still too early to determine the cause of the crash, which happened yesterday on a regional line in the west of the country. Alan Booknear reports.
The train crash happened in the evening hours near the station of Grand Pré Marnant, 50 kilometers southwest of Switzerland's capital, Bern. A train headed for Lausanne collided with one bound for Payerne. Police said 46 people were aboard the two trains, which were locked together after the collision and partially lifted off the tracks by the force of the crash. This police spokesman said they were regional trains that travel at slower speeds. Otherwise, the results could have been much more catastrophic. Several ambulances, fire engines, and a helicopter were dispatched to the scene. It took rescue workers several hours to reach the driver who was killed in the crash. They had to separate the fronts of the two trains to reach him. 5 people were injured seriously and taken to a hospital in Lausanne, one by helicopter. The crash comes just 4 days after 79 people were killed in a high-speed train derailment in Spain. Switzerland's rail system is considered one of the best and safest in the world. Accidents are rare, although 3 years ago, the country's popular Glacier Express tourist train derailed in the Alps, killing 1 person and injuring 42. Alan Booknear, TVB News.
In Spain, a memorial was held for the 79 people killed in last week's train crash. Spanish royals and political leaders joined the hundreds of mourners in Santiago de Compostela's cathedral. Investigators will begin examining the black box data recorders today for more clues into the cause of Spain's worst rail disaster in 4 decades. The driver of the train, Francisco Garzón, faces 79 counts of negligent homicide. The investigation is focusing on why Garzón failed to brake as the train hurtled into a high-risk curve. He has reportedly said he briefly stopped paying attention.
Amid deep divisions, the Israelis and Palestinians have reopened peace talks for the first time in almost 3 years. As Jameson Wong reports, many believe there's still a long road ahead before any major breakthrough in the U.S.-brokered negotiations.
The Obama administration trying to break the ice at the resumption of Israeli-Palestinian talks.
We're happy to welcome you. It's really wonderful to have you here. Thank you. Very, very special. And we have obviously not very much to talk about at all.
The venue, the top floor of the U.S. State Department. Last night, the Israeli team led by Justice Minister Tzipi Livni and the Palestinian team led by veteran negotiator Saeb Erekat held the so-called iftar meal, which breaks the day of fasting for Muslims during the holy month of Ramadan. Few details have emerged about the talks. The U.S. only described them as constructive and productive. This is the first time the Israelis and Palestinians have held peace negotiations since 2010. Kerry highlighted the task ahead before the landmark meeting.
Going forward, it's no secret that this is a difficult process. If it were easy, it would have happened a long time ago. It's no secret, therefore, that many difficult choices lie ahead.
A former U.S. ambassador to Israel was named envoy for Mideast peace talks.
It's been my conviction for 40 years that peace is possible. It is a daunting and humbling challenge, but one that I cannot desist from.
Yes, there is a lot of cynicism and skepticism and pessimism, but there is also hope, and I believe that by relaunching the negotiations, we can recreate hope for Israelis and for Palestinians.
Hope's thanks partly to an Israeli decision to release more than 100 Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails.
This is nothing new. This is an implementation of an old commitment by the Israelis. Nevertheless, to us, it was very important that they released. And their release formed one of our major requirements for resuming the negotiations.
But as Livni pointed out, skepticism too. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas was talking tough in Cairo earlier, insisting no Israeli settlers or border fences could remain in a future Palestinian state. The U.S. is pushing ahead with a two-state solution, and the key issues that need to be resolved include Jewish settlements, the future of Jerusalem, and the fate of Palestinian refugees. Jameson Wong, TVB News.
Beijing has reportedly ruled out the possibility of a Sino-Japanese summit in the near future. Tokyo proposed a summit in a bid to improve relations soured by a territorial row over the Diaoyu Islands, which the Japanese call the Senkakus. The state-run China Daily quoted an unidentified official as saying statements by the Japanese Prime Minister's advisor that a summit could occur in the not-too-distant future were misleading. This comes during a visit to Beijing by Japan's Vice Foreign Minister Akitaka Saiki. He had a meeting with Chinese officials today, including Foreign Minister Wang Yi. The Foreign Ministry said on its website that both sides had a candid exchange of views and will continue to communicate through various channels.
The European Union foreign policy chief said she met with deposed Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi last night. Catherine Ashton said the ousted leader was in good health and had access to television and newspapers when she visited him. Ashton said she met with Morsi at an undisclosed location. She dismissed media reports she'd offered him a safe exit from the country. It was the first time an outsider had been granted access to Morsi since he was overthrown and held in custody a month ago. Ashton is on a visit to Egypt to try to mediate a solution to the country's political crisis.
And still ahead in the news. Complaints about online shopping shoot up. 3 taxi drivers arrested for overcharging passengers. And Jetman takes his show to the US.
Back, the Consumer Council received more than 800 complaints related to online shopping in the first half of the year. That's double the number received during the same period last year. Vicky Kung has more.
As a result of the booming e-commerce in Hong Kong, the number of complaints about goods purchased online has shot up. More and more people are shopping online in groups to secure cheaper deals. But problems of late delivery and non-delivery of goods are getting serious due to stock shortages and sudden closures of some online operators. The Consumer Council received more than 800 complaints related to online shopping during the first 6 months of the year. That's more than double the amount received during the same period last year. The council said it's difficult to regulate these shopping websites as some of those companies are not registered in Hong Kong.
Online purchase is now become a fashion or lifestyle, particularly for young people. It's getting very popular. So I think the most crucial thing is to be careful.
As for the amended Trade Descriptions Ordinance, which took effect 2 weeks ago, the Consumer Council has received 14 complaints and nearly 100 inquiries. 6 of the complaints are about Chinese medicine purchased mainly by tourists. The council also pointed out that about 80% of tourist complaints received during the first half of this year were filed by visitors from mainland. The majority of the complaints were about price disputes due to a lack of price tags. The council said it will submit a request to the government to force the labeling of prices on all goods in future. To facilitate the filing of complaints, the Consumer Council reminded people to keep their receipts and actual products or to print screen transactions if they're shopping online. Vicky Kung, TVB News.
The Secretary for Development's integrity was once again called into question by legislators today. That's despite attempts by Paul Chan and his family to defend accusations of a conflict of interest involving land they owned in the Northeast New Territories. Joel De Silva reports.
LegCo members slammed Secretary for Development Paul Chan for not being forthcoming enough regarding an alleged conflict of interest involving a plot of farmland located within one of the areas in the New Territories earmarked for development.
We hope the Secretary can give us an explanation in one go, say for example, hold a press conference or come to LegCo to give us a full explanation. Don't give replies bit by bit.
Some lawmakers, however, took Chan's side.
If they really want to become rich, they would have purchased a few more plots instead of just having one. So I think such accusations are totally ungrounded.
Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying reiterated today the development chief is willing to further clarify the matter. That's despite, in Leung's opinion, Chan having already provided more than enough information to clear any suspicions of a conflict of interest. And National People's Congress Standing Committee member Rita Fan sees in this controversy an opportunity.
Well, it is the last of a series of incidents, which is to some people in the community, it is casting doubt on their trust towards the SAR government. I personally think this is probably a positive chance to sort of take stock of what have happened in the past 13 months and probably decide how you could improve, how the present government could improve on their method of communication and their method of handling crisis.
With another development panel meeting lined up for tomorrow, Paul Chan is in for yet another grilling session. But despite the heat, the Secretary has pledged to remain in office and to press on with the controversial development plan. Joel De Silva, TVB News.
Police kept up their crackdown on taxi drivers overcharging passengers. They arrested 3 cabbies yesterday. Evelina Leung tells us more.
The taxis involved are impounded at Tsim Sha Tsui police station. The police sent 3 officers undercover, disguised as tourists yesterday, to crack down on taxi drivers. 2 of the undercover officers got into taxis at a hotel on Kimberley Road, heading to the airport. The cabbies took the officers for a joyride and added extra surcharges to the fare upon arriving at the destination. Their final fare was 40% more than the normal charge. The 3rd taxi driver, meanwhile, took another undercover officer in a roundabout way before heading to the airport. It added an extra $50 to the final cab fare. The police also revealed that the trio were communicating with each other en route to the airport and have not ruled out a syndicate operating behind the scenes. Evelina Leung, TVB News.
2 local newspapers, Apple Daily and Sharp Daily, and their editors-in-chief have been charged with contempt of court over an interview with a murder suspect back in March. The newspapers published an interview with Henry Chow, who was accused of killing his parents in Tai Kok Tsui. His friend was also charged with 2 counts of murder in connection with the case. The newspapers interviewed Chow while he was remanded at Siu Lam Psychiatric Center after his arrest. The Department of Justice said the newspapers published the interview while judicial proceedings were underway. The department filed charges of contempt of court and asked for penalties of fines and imprisonment. All right, Chris, over to you for sports.
And over to the field, or the pitch, because it held up. Manchester United back in England after completing their Asia tour last night in Hong Kong. Despite the furor over the pitch at Hong Kong Stadium, there were few, if any, complaints from fans after United's 5-2 win over Kitchee. Jameson Wong has more.
Not picture perfect, but not a killer pitch either. But man alive, was that close.
I thought our players played very well on a which was a difficult pitch and made it look. I thought we made it look like a good pitch actually. I thought we played well, and I thought it was a good, exciting game for the supporters to see as well. So we didn't worry too much about the pitch conditions at all.
And for one Kitchee player, the pitch at Hong Kong Stadium was actually a field of dreams. Lam Kai Wai's stunning goal in the second half brought the crowd to its feet. For sure, it was one of the most memorable goals I have ever scored, but probably not the prettiest. I hope to score prettier goals in the future. I was a bit nervous in the first half because of the pressure they were putting on us. I tried to stay calm and things just sort of came together for me. But they are a great team. And the great team on a not-so-great pitch, meeting always great expectations in Hong Kong. Jameson Wong, TVB News.
Sad news in football. Former Birmingham striker Christian Benitez has died. The Ecuador international was admitted to hospital after making his debut for a Qatari side on Sunday. Doctors say his heart failed. The 27-year-old earned 58 caps and played in the 2006 World Cup in Germany. He was the son of Herman Benitez, one of Ecuador's all-time leading goal scorers. In baseball, the mother of all major league meltdowns. Boston Red Sox slugger David Ortiz was literally a one-man wrecking crew. Let's set this up for you. The Red Sox were playing the Baltimore Orioles at Camden Yards last weekend. Ortiz had just been ejected from the game for arguing with the plate umpire. And before leaving the area, he took out his frustrations on a couple of phones in the dugout. The Red Sox won the game 7-3. Besides the ejection, Ortiz was not punished for his actions.
And finally, a Swiss adventurer will be making his first public flights in the United States later today in a custom-built jet suit. Yves Rossi, known as Jetman, will be making his first appearance at an experimental aircraft show in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Wearing a 4-engine jet wing, he's able to propel himself through the sky at more than 300 kilometers per hour. He can go higher than 3,500 meters, but prefers to stay at around 1,500 meters. After this week's show in Oshkosh, Rossi also flies at the Reno Air Races in Nevada in September. And that's the news for tonight.
Good night.